Good day to you all out there in this universe of power. This is your host, Gabe El Vos. Some of you know me as the Texas Titan. I am here bringing this fourth episode of the Titan Talk podcast to you today, and it is my supreme honor to invite and welcome the man I entrust to be in charge of the health corner of my team, Steve Martinez. Steve, thank you for being here.
Thanks, man. What an intro. No pressure, right? No pressure.
Nah, no pressure at all. But we're going to have some fun. You know, I've been wanting to have you out here to talk about, having you in my corner, especially as a pro athlete.
Yeah.
Moving on through the conquest of World's Strongest Man. It's serious stuff.
Yeah, quite a journey too. Working with you, on this journey, obviously you started, way before you contacted me, but helping you get to that next level has been just a true honor, and it's been awesome watching you.
Well, thanks, man. It's been one of those things where as soon as I got my pro status, it's like, if I leave any stone unturned, that's where the other guy's going to get that advantage up over me. So,
exactly.
It's one of those things where our health is the cornerstone of everything that we do.
Absolutely. And health is the greatest wealth in so many different ways. And what I tell a lot of the guests and patients that I see at my clinic is, hey, let's really dive in and have that dedication to your health now. Let's invest in your health now. If not, well, then there's a good chance you're going to pay for it later. And like I said, working with individuals like yourself who have that inspiration and that determination, not motivation, but determination to really go to the next level. And that's what brings the true joy to what I do. Determination
or stubbornness?
Yeah, exactly. Well, one of the two. Doesn't matter.
One of the two. But either way, it gets us where we want to go.
Exactly.
But Steve, you have quite a plethora of formal titles and certifications. Can you list them all out for our listeners?
I don't even think I can, but with medicine, I'll give it a shot. So what I do is I specialize in functional and energy medicine, strength and energy medicine. And what that means is I help each individual pretty much, listen to their goals and their dreams, help them become the best version of themselves, really take into consideration their destination, take in consideration what they're struggling with, their signs and their symptoms. One of the things that I really focus on is not treating symptoms, but I treat the system, because I believe the system is what's producing and causing the symptoms that we might be having struggles with. So really each individual is different. With me, there's no cookie cutter therapies, no one size fits all therapy. Why? Because again, we're all different. So when we talk about, strength optimization, when we talk about energy, when we talk about weight loss, when we talk about sleep, when we talk about libido, when we talk about hair, skin, nails, mood, memory, the list goes on. We all have things we want to accomplish, but how we get there needs to be customized per individual. Why? Again, because we're all different. So that's what I do. And like I said, I've had the opportunity to work with some of the top anti-aging and functional medicine clinicians around the world. And I've taken what I've learned and applied it to what I do here in McAllen. And it's been awesome. It's been awesome. So I'm nationally certified in bioidentical hormone therapy and also peptide therapy, which I'm sure we'll chat about here as the show goes on and everything. But what I really focus on is cellular optimization, because when our cells are happy and healthy, well, we are happy and healthy. But when our cells are sick, we have room for improvement. So depending on what is impacting our cells, what's impacting the mitochondria within us, we need to figure that out. If we don't figure that out, in my opinion, we're just playing Band-Aid medicine, and we'll never get down to that root cause, the real reason why you might be struggling with a certain symptom or condition. So that's what I do, and I have a lot of fun doing it.
And it was pretty cool because you went through a whole list of different things, different factors that contribute to people's health. And from the moment I met you, that systematic view, that the approach of it's not just like one-step solution to everything. You got to take it all into account. That's what really, turned me on to the idea of getting you in my corner.
Yeah.
But we've known each other for the better part of 3 going on 4 years now.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the origins of our coming together to meet each other. I think back to the very beginning. Your wife was an athlete, trained under us at AlphaFit for a while.
Yep, she had an awesome time.
Yeah, and she kicked ass doing it. And we also had a mutual friend who trained there, Yusef Yarito. He used to be my physical therapist.
Yep, absolutely.
And I had seen you a couple times when you came to go either pick up Michelle at the gym with your little boy or something like that. But we didn't really get to talk until I believe Yusef had his pre-wedding
like
bachelor
birthday wad or something
or something like that at a CrossFit gym in McAllen. But we got to chatting, and that was the first time I really got to kind of pick your brain, talk to my conquest as an athlete, my ambitions, my goals, and to hear your approach on how to best optimize.
Exactly.
Optimization. That's a key word that you've always used from the beginning. And it's so important to not just demand good performance or exceptional, but optimal, the best.
You want to be great. A lot of people can be good or okay in many different areas of, the world, and seeking therapy that would just kind of help them survive and not really thrive. But when people come to me, I encourage them have that growth mindset, have the mindset to be the best you can be. And so you're not here to be good. You're not here to be okay. You're here to be great. But how we get there, again, it needs to be customized per individual. So listening to your story, I mean, you were, one of the strongest guys in the country already, but it's like, hey, how can I get better? How can I take it to the next level? Why? Because you had goals and dreams, things you wanted to accomplish, that destination that you wanted to achieve. And so, yeah, like I said, our relationship, just working together and taking time to learn your story. I think that's where we fall short in medicine a lot of times, is we're so quick to say, okay, you're feeling A, B, and C symptom. Great. Here's a pill, boom. See you later. Labs look normal and you're out the door. And you're like, what is going on here? I have no idea what just happened. So like you said, optimization. We're not looking to get any individual normal. We're looking to get you optimal. And optimization really, again, is different for each person. That's why taking time to learning about each person and their journey and their story and their struggles is very important in formulating that relationship and then helping them go to that next level.
Absolutely. And getting to where you are today, to where you have a clinic where you practice from in McAllen.
Yep.
All the steps you've traversed to get here, where did it all start? And I want you to take me back as far as high school.
Right.
What wound you up to where you are today?
Well, really taking charge of my health, when I was little really was important to me. And that's what it kind of came from my parents. I grew up in Washington State in a town in central Washington called Yakima. And my family's originally from Texas, but they were migrant workers and they kind of followed the seasons and everything. And where I'm from in Washington, there's a lot of agriculture. And so it's like a lot of cherries and hops and vineyards and apples. And so that's where my family ended up. And so at that time, really, one, it was just the installation of hard work, and like I said, it was, you're the same, just hard work, dream big, but you got to earn it, right? Nothing's going to be given to you. You got to go out there and earn it. And so really at a young age, I was encouraged to work hard and really to dream big. And so it really started there. And when we talk about the health and wellness journey, I remember when I was little, my mom bought a juice man juicer, one of the first things that came out. And I remember that, she was making me things like, carrot and celery and broccoli and garlic and cabbage juices. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is horrible. But I knew it was good for me. So I just did my best to just drink the stuff. And that's what really got me interested, to tell you the truth, when I was like 5-6 years old, and to really start learning about minerals and vitamins, at a low scale, but just asking questions, I guess. But really one of the things that really held me back growing up was mindset for me. And I never thought I could, I wanted to, but, I never thought I could practice medicine. I never thought I would be able to own my own business. I never thought I would be able to really impact people around the country. I was thinking small, and it was one of those things that I really needed to kind of just break out of that shell, really take some chances, to really say, I can do this, and I can, make an impact in the world in the way I believe I was called to do. And so long story short, it's like eventually, after high school, actually was a firefighter for about, 10 years, paid volunteer in the beginning.
In Washington?
In Washington, yeah, I was a firefighter. And then I joined the military. I was in the Air Force, and also practiced, I was in the Air Force, and I did 2 years firefighting in the Air Force, but also was I actually was a surgical technician, so I worked in the hospitals in the Air Force as well. And so that was my real true exposure to medicine. I went in there wanting to be a firefighter, but then things happened, injuries happened, and I wasn't able to be a firefighter anymore because I pretty much just blew out my lower back during a training exercise. And, that's a long story.
Before we go into the lower back injury, I didn't know you were a firefighter, first of all.
Yeah.
Like, this is me learning something new about you. But talk about a firefighter in the Air Force and a surgical technician in the Air Force at the same time.
Yeah.
That sounds like a superhero, man. What does firefighting in the Air Force entail? Are you like in the air firefighting from helicopters? What?
No, actually, we did a lot of structure fighting as well. So we trained a lot like, civilian firefighters would, but it was mostly aircrafts.
Okay.
We focused on aircrafts. We actually, our base, our station was on the airfield. And so if there was an issue or complication or, God forbid, a plane crash, we would go ahead and respond and take care of that. But, the surgical technician part of my journey, like I said, originally, day one in the Air Force, I signed up. I was actually qualified to be in a special operations program called pararescue. And pararescue, for those who don't know, is kind of like the Navy SEALs of the Air Force. We go through all the different same schools, the dive, the jump school, SEER school, all the survival schools, things like that. Unfortunately, I never made it that far because during the indoctrination series, part of the training, I had a really bad accident and just pretty much just ruptured my lower spine, just blew it out. My discs went everywhere, and it was just an ugly situation. So what the Air Force usually does is they would call reclass you. So I wasn't able to be a pararescueman for my career, so they reclassed me into surgery. And that surgery experience really helped me get my juices flowing again in medicine. Hey, I can do this. I am smart enough to and capable of performing and helping with people inside a hospital setting. And so with that, it really kind of blossomed from there. And then once I got out, I applied for PA school. I went to, and I got in first try, which was really cool. So I graduated from the University of Washington, which is a great medical school. And then after I was done with medical school, or physician assist PA school, I really wanted a challenge. I wanted to really be stressed and broken down and go to a place where, I could really grow. And so, my girlfriend at the time, Michelle, my wife now, she's like, well, what about the Valley? I was like, well, what's the Valley? And she's like, well, what about McAllen, Brownsville, Harlingen? I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. The farthest south I ever went was San Antonio.
It's quite the opposite end of this country from Washington State.
And I was like, I was like, I have no idea. I don't know what you're talking about. Anyway, so I watched a documentary on the Valley, actually, on PBS. And that next day I started calling clinics around the Valley and say, hey, will you hire me? Here I am. This is what I do. And, eventually a clinic picked me up in Mercedes, Texas. Wow. So I came from Yakima to Mercedes, Texas. And, it's one of those things that you be careful what you pray and ask for, because it might come true. I was definitely stressed and broken down and seeing pathology that I never thought I would see coming into a family practice clinic. But it was a great opportunity for me to grow and, really set that foundation of who I wanted to be as an individual. And, I don't regret it at all. So then after that, I kind of grew in my career, but I always had that desire to practice medicine in the way I lived, because it was like a battle within me, practicing what's called conventional medicine, which we can get into a little bit more, but also I was living functional, a functional lifestyle. And so this conflict of the way I was treating my patients, as far as medications and routines, wasn't what I agreed with. I didn't believe in it. I just didn't think there was any other options for me to participate in. This was it. But then as I grew in medicine, I learned that there are other options. When you talk about anti-aging and regenerative medicine, what I practice now, functional medicine. And then once I learned that there was an opportunity for me to really grow in that direction, it just took off from there.
Absolutely.
It blew up.
And I do want to get into the differences between,
Sure.
like you were talking about, the stark contrast between conventional medicine as people know it and functional medicine.
Yeah.
But prior to doing that, I do want to backtrack
Sure.
to your back injury.
Yeah.
Because I always find that the way people overcome both the physical and the mental hurdles associated with injury to be truly fascinating and remarkable. Mm-hmm. So tell us about that back injury when you blew out your disc.
So my team was getting ready for a training exercise. We were in formation, and we had our rucksacks on, those 50-pound packs that you see a lot of military guys carrying. And what we're doing is about 4 o'clock in the morning. And I remember we were in San Antonio, and we were rucking in formation, and it was pitch black outside. I couldn't see the guy in front of me. It was totally dark. And so we're rucking in formation, and I stepped in a hole. My right leg stepped in a hole, and the momentum carried me forward. And then so my whole body twisted to the right side. So my whole torso just twisted, but my right leg stayed put in that hole. And all you just hear just like little explosions in my back, pop, 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 pop. And then instantly I just had instant paralysis in my lower body, just neuropathies and radiculopathy. The nerve was just crushed from my discs, just exploding in my back. That was in 2005. And since that time, that's when they eliminated me from the program. I could barely walk. They said, no more, you're done. And so it's been a journey since 2005. And I still daily, I guess we're all on our journey, right? But daily, I still have, neurological pain and difficulties. Some days are better than others. But I ended up having surgery in 2016. I couldn't take it anymore. I tried everything I could to try to prolong as much as I can. So I made it 11 years. And with pain, I was like, I got to do this. And
back surgery is a pretty crazy thing to entertain the possibility of.
It is. It was crushing in many ways, because I wanted to try to, do as much as I can, but the disc was just so, deteriorating, and it was degenerative, and I just couldn't take it anymore. So, and that was in 2016, and then in 2019, unfortunately, I re-ruptured it again, and it blew out of me again. And I was like, gosh dang it, I just got to finish my second Ironman triathlon, and then here I am in a wheelchair, and that was like a world change for me. And I went from, again, crossing that finish line at the Ironman to not being able to put on my shoes, couldn't shower, I couldn't sleep, I couldn't sit down, I had a hard time standing. I was in misery, complete misery. So it was a good learning opportunity, because I finally understood what it felt like to be trapped. Yeah. Seriously trapped in pain.
I mean, in the short amount of time that I've known you, I definitely can pick up on days when you're having a little bit of a tougher day, moving around.
Yeah.
The original injury was in 2005, so we're talking the scope of 17 years.
Yeah, it's been a long time. Yeah, every day, it's a mystery. When I get up in the morning, that's how my days, we'll see what happens today. And some days, I can function. Some days I have extreme mental fog because the pain is just out of this world. But, like I say, every situation I believe that we can learn from. And I've learned so much on this journey when it comes to pain, regenerative medicine, cellular health and efficiency, that I've been able to use what I've learned to help so many people that I consult with and serve, that I probably wouldn't have learned, or maybe I would have, but not to the depth that I know now, had I not gone through that myself. And so that's one of the main things that I am thankful for in many ways, that, hey, I still can walk, and I can still do things. I can't run anymore, but that's okay. I can do other things. And so, but like I said, it still is, and it has been definitely a journey.
But I mean, like you said, the silver lining to this dealing with this trauma, this negative experience, is that it has given you the firsthand experience.
Absolutely.
To treat your patients. And it's one of those things where you can be book smart, but when you have felt it yourself, that level of total understanding just heightens what you're able to do.
Yeah, it's this next level. And I remember the VA, it got pretty bad. I mean, like I said, when I say I felt trapped, I mean, it was like 24 hours pain. I mean, I was getting maybe 5-6 hours of sleep a week. I mean, because my pain was just so out of this world. And the VA put me in pain management classes, and I got to see a lot of other guys and girls experiencing what I was going through, but to the next level. I mean, I was like, my gosh, what do I have to complain about? And so it just really kind of put things in perspective for me. And like I said, I've always sympathized with people who are going through, different situations and illnesses and injuries, but this took it to the next level. When actually being in that group, in the pain management classes, seeing people from all the way from Vietnam to Desert Storm, to the war in Afghanistan and things like that, it was like a wow moment for me. And like I said, that really inspired me in many ways to say, hey, there's so much more work and good I can do. And now I have that walk the walk experience that I can really apply in different ways to really reach out and help the masses. And that's what I'm looking to do.
Absolutely. And now let's tie this into the scope of functional medicine.
Yeah, absolutely.
So why functional medicine? And why is it that there is such that stark contrast between what we know as conventional medicine, the like you were touching on, the doctor gets the blood work, oh, your labs are normal, you're fine.
Yeah.
But why am I feeling this way, sort of thing?
Exactly.
Why is there that disconnect?
I guess there's many thoughts behind it. Personally, I think that that's the way the system's set up. When the pharmaceutical company back in the early, 1940s really started to take hold of our medical system, things changed dramatically. And we started moving towards more of a symptomatic mindset versus a system mindset. And what I mean by that is this, like if I have somebody come to me and they have anxiety, blood pressure, and chronic pain, I have a pill for every ill. I can give you a blood pressure, anxiety, and pain pill. That's easy. And then you're out the door in 7 minutes. But what I ask myself is, what's causing your pain? What's causing your anxiety? What's causing your blood pressure? And getting down to that root cause takes a lot more time. And if we're able to help someone heal by changing their diet, changing their sleep, helping with their stress levels, their meditation, exercising, there's no money to be made in that. There's money to be made in pharmaceuticals. And so when the influence of pharmaceuticals really kind of took hold, it started having a dramatic impact on the way clinicians, mid-levels, nurse practitioners, doctors were trained in school to have, hey, if you have an ill, here's a pill. And I think that is over time that has evolved into what we have now as our Western medicine versus the quote unquote Eastern medicine that people hear about more of a holistic approach. And a lot of times people, when they hear the word holistic, they think of like, oh, here are your potions and here are your herbs and your spices and your, whatever, spells. And that's not it at all. This is medicine. This is how medicine was for many, many years until, again, the influences started taking to impact. But yeah, so like I said, that is the difference. I think a lot of things, there's a lot of different factors on there on what I've seen and experienced throughout my, my 10-year career of why the direction of medicine is going the way it is, because really we're one of the richest countries in the world, but we're also one of the sickest.
It seems like it ties into a bit of a negative feedback loop, though. It's driven by the financial forces of the pharmaceutical world, but then
business,
when you have that quick fix, it's you don't get down to the root of the problem.
Never.
So you have the problem go away for a second, but the underlying cause is still there.
Yeah.
And then another problem surfaces.
Yeah.
And then it's another pill, another problem, another pill. And
Yeah.
it's just that negative feedback loop, and we're so far off track at a certain point.
You're right. And it's like, I kind of get this analogy when I have a consultation with one of my guests, and it's like, okay, well, hey, say you get up in the morning and you start your truck and your truck's making a noise. What do we say to ourselves usually? Okay, what's wrong and why is my truck making a noise? We don't say to ourselves, oh my gosh, my truck's making a noise. What do I do? All right, I'll just turn up my music. All right, now I don't hear the noise anymore because I just hear my music. And we don't do that because we know that, hey, there's still a problem in the engine or tire or whatever. But we do that with our health. If we have blood pressure issues, diabetes, cholesterol, chronic pain, anxiety, insomnia, erectile dysfunction, unexplained weight gain, mental fog, there's a reason why. We just need to figure out that reason why. And a lot of times, again, the way the medical system's set up, there's no time to do that. And the mindset is, here's your quick fix, here's your Band-Aid, hopefully it works. If it doesn't, well, sorry, there's not much I can do for you. And then that's why people are, again, we're one of the sickest countries in the world. So what I practice and what I like to explain it to our guests is like, hey, let's be proactive and not reactive, right? Let's try to get ahead of this. But also let's practice healthcare and not sick care. I don't want to wait till you're sick to do something about it. Let's do something about it now to prevent these things, and then you'll not only survive in life, but you'll thrive, and that's our approach.
And that's the approach to have.
Yeah,
if you care about the long game, it's just
exactly.
I feel like it's unfortunate that so many people are narrow scoped to what's only the short game and fixing the ailments that they have right away because they're just in so much discomfort or distress or pain, whatever.
You're right, and it takes effort too.
It does.
It takes dedication. It's not easy medicine. It's not easy medicine for myself and like-minded clinicians to diagnose and to help, but also it's the responsibility of the individual if they truly want to get better. This type of medicine isn't for everybody. If you truly want to get better and to make a real change, then in my opinion, I think it'd have to be the functional approach.
So you have the functional approach in terms of giving it to the masses,
Right.
but you also treat athletes.
Yeah.
I'm one of them.
Yeah.
I know you treat other athletes, and you yourself are an athlete.
Yeah.
What role does functional medicine uniquely play in optimizing the performance of someone seeking that elite athleticism?
Right, because athletes, they're especially high-level athletes like yourself. You're different animals. You're different beasts, and so it's kind of like if you're driving your car from home to work, back to home. It's like, okay, cool, not a problem. But if you're driving your car from home to work to the racetrack and then back home, well, you're pushing that engine a lot harder. So you got to make sure that, the components of us as human beings, again, need to be optimal. And so when I treat athletes, I listen to their goals, their dreams, that destination, and what they're struggling with. Maybe it's pain, maybe lack of strength, maybe it's your sleep or whatever. But I fine tune them in a way that can help them perform, but also recover to that next level. And I think that's where the difference is from just doing things on your own. I think you need a coach. Everybody needs a coach in life. I have many coaches, but especially with athletes, that I got to make sure that I'm not just treating them like, everybody else. Some people just say, hey, I just want to feel better, have more energy. Great, more energy. There you go. I can help you with that. But if you want to perform, then we got to take you to the next level. And that's when we start talking about really diving into cellular efficiency, cellular communication, peptide therapy. That is where, the realm of athleticism and athletes really just take things to, the new heights, when we're really able to optimize the communication within the cells. And again, there's different techniques I have to do that. But I see a lot of athletes, anywhere from people like yourself to the Boston Marathoners, Ironman triathletes, the Olympians, and things like that. So it is a different approach. It's a lot more challenging, I would say, but a lot more fun. It's what I have a passion to do. And, that's how we approach it, by just making sure that we listen to the goals and the outcome they're looking to achieve. And then we work together as a team to customize a program to get them there.
I think you touched on it, and I always advocate to a lot of the athletes that I coach under my wing. It's the efforts that we do in training is only half the battle.
Yeah.
And you can't keep doing it unless you're ensuring that appropriate and proper, effective recovery in between those sessions.
Right.
So I feel like for the athlete, the recovery and being able to prioritize it and give it the most possible capability and capacity is a big objective when it comes to working with athletes.
You're right. Like I said, that's kind of what one of the things I see the most in the stories I hear is like, hey, I'm pushing myself, I'm pushing myself, but after a while, I'm getting slower, I'm getting weaker, I'm more injured. It's like, what am I doing? Well, we're burning ourselves out. Athletes and the ones I work with, they're superhuman in many ways, but they're still human. You know what I mean? So we got to make sure that, we have that balance, and I got to look at all aspects and areas when it comes to your adrenal glands, when it comes to your thyroid, when it comes to your testosterone, when it comes to your growth hormone, your IGF-1, your ferritin, your insulin, your inflammatory factors. All these things matter, because when we have inflammation in our body, maybe it's self-imposed inflammation from all the hard work and dedication and training that you're doing, that's going to strip you of your energy. It's going to strip you of your sleep. It's going to impact your digestion. And if your digestion is impacted, it's going to affect your thyroid. Thyroid, being the conductor of the hormonal symphony, is going to affect your testosterone. Your testosterone goes down, then it causes more stress. Then you have elevated cortisol. Now you're gaining weight. Now you have mental fog. Now it's all tied in. So that approach is what I do for my athletes, and it works very well.
And this network of understanding of the cascade effects of all the hormones, the endocrine system.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I'm lucky in a sense that I went out of my way to make sure I took classes in college, like endocrinology, anatomy and physiology, but not a lot of people do that. It's very uncommon. What do you find as being a healthcare professional specializing in hormone optimization? What do you find tends to be the most overlooked, or even the most facts that people are unaware of when it comes to hormones and balancing them, especially in the terms of athletics?
Absolutely. I think one of the big myths I see is that hormones are bad. I mean, hormones are not bad. Hormones keep us alive. Hormones keep us thriving in life and not just surviving, help us go from good to great. But as we age, hormones go down. And so there's a reason why we feel things later in life that we didn't earlier in life. If I have a 60-year-old man and he's experiencing weight gain, fatigue, erectile dysfunction, low libido, loss of muscle mass, he's kind of hunched over, doesn't have good posture, can't sleep at night. He's like, man, what's going on with me? I wasn't experiencing this 20, 30 years ago. Well, yeah, because things change. He goes to his doctor and expresses these complications, and his PCP, that maybe not specialize in, hormones or not have a functional mindset, says, oh, Mr. Johnson, don't worry about that. You're 60 years old. Everything's normal. You're supposed to feel like this. Well, yeah, I mean, you might be normal because a lot of 60-year-olds feel like that. Just because something's common doesn't mean it's normal. And just because we're classified as normal doesn't mean it's right or that we should accept it. So I have this philosophy called age versus energy. No matter what age you are, I truly believe you can get back the energy and vitality that you're looking for and get that enthusiasm back into your life. But when it comes to hormones, a lot of times people are, scared of them, and that's why, the message I receive, and rightly so, because there's a lot of misinformation out there. I think there's a lot of fear factors out there that if you don't do, your own homework, then you'll kind of fall along that path. But hormones keep us alive. Hormones are amazing. But I will say that if done the wrong way, hormones can be very damaging as well.
Well, that's the thing. It's a delicate balance.
It is.
And the balance has to be maintained.
Exactly. And so that's why working with a specialist, I see a lot of people that I see and consult with, like maybe they talk to their buddy at the gym, say, hey, you know what? What are you doing, man? Oh, I'm taking this, I'm taking that. Great. I'm gonna go do it myself. And they go buy it and they start injecting themselves or taking pills, and they have no idea what they're doing. And yeah, you might feel good for a few months, and then later on, you're coming through my door because something's seriously wrong. You feel very off. And so that's what I see a lot in those situations, kind of doing things on our own without a coach. That's where the myth and the complications kind of grow that hormones are bad, because there's so many people that kind of doing things on their own. They don't really know what they're doing. And if that happens, then it's not necessarily the hormones that are bad. It's the approach and routine and lack of guidance, I guess, in many ways. That's where a specialist comes in. But we've seen so many success stories of people really coming into my clinic in tears, thanking us for helping optimize our hormones because no one would listen to them. No one would help them. They were told that, oh, everything's normal, your labs are normal, but they didn't feel normal. And so they felt stuck. Like, okay, I feel horrible. I have A, B, C, D, E, and F symptoms. I get my labs. They tell me my labs are normal. There's nothing they can do for me. Now what do? I'm stuck. This is going to be my life for the rest of my life. And our approach helps us overcome those obstacles and those myths in many ways to help people get their life back and to get them truly thriving.
And I mean, it's quality of life stuff.
It is.
It really is. Yeah. And it does lead to happiness.
It is. Joy, happiness, vitality, everything. Mm-hmm.
A lot of people, because it's so unknown and foreign to them, one of the biggest things they yearn for is a resource or like you said, a coach, someone to direct them.
Yeah.
We were just talking yesterday and over the course of the past couple months that you are about to release a program.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about that?
Sure. Yeah. So right now, I'm in the process of launching a program called Lions Lead. And there's many reasons why I wanted to launch this program. I really have a passion to help men optimize who they are. I believe that, male and female, we all have amazing, beautiful roles in society, within the family and things like that. But a lot of times the stories I've been hearing over my 10-year plus career is that men just don't feel like men anymore. They feel they're embarrassed. They're self-conscious. They don't have, and they're so frustrated and angry that they don't have the vitality and strength that they want. They don't know where to go, and it's really affecting their marriage. It's affecting their performance at work. It's affecting their relationship with their kids. Why? Because they're always tired. They don't want to play with their kids. They can't have sex with their wife or their girlfriend or whoever. And it's just crushing their world. And now they're in depression. They have depression. They have anxiety because they have fear that they can't perform and they can't do the things that they wanted to do. So hearing all this, and I wanted to develop a program that really reaches out to men, an all-inclusive program that includes consultations, hormone therapy, peptide therapy, labs, weekly webinars with me, everything all-inclusive, a turnkey package that they can participate in and really just help optimize their strength and energy. That's what it's going to be, strength and energy optimization for men. It's still going to be customized for each person. We're going to dial things into your goals, into your dreams, but that's something I want to take. My goal is to take it nationwide and to really have the opportunity for guys to say, hey, you know what, we're not alone. I mean, a lot of guys that come into me, they're almost like, when they sit down in the chair, they're kind of like looking around the room. We're the only ones in the room, but they're kind of like looking around the room like saying, gosh, I hope no one's listening to me, because I've been struggling this for a long time, and men being men, they don't want to share it, and so they have the opportunity to really share their story. And once they do, dude, you'd be surprised how many guys, strong guys, that coming in that they break down. They break down because finally they're like pouring it all out. They finally have someone that would actually listen to them, and not only listen to them, but help develop a program to get them where they want to be. And if I could do that on a larger scale, that's going to be awesome. And the reason why I call it Lions Lead, because I believe, the lion is the king of the jungle. And I believe the world out there is a jungle in many ways. And so we get lions leading again in many ways. I think that's just going to kind of help strengthen so many areas of our society. And I want to help them do that in the way I feel called to do. So.
Absolutely. And it's life-changing stuff.
Yeah.
It really, and I have a personal, and I'm very open with it with my athletes. Mm-hmm. When I was 21, going on 22, I was not feeling myself.
Right.
I went with my primary care provider at the time, just to get some blood work done and see what was going on. Mm-hmm. And at 21 years old, I found out from that blood panel that I had low testosterone.
Yeah.
And I mean, it felt like, you ever see like any of those classic antidepressant commercials on TV where the person has this cloud hovering over them?
Right.
Just dampening their mood and everything. That's how it felt.
Yeah.
And one of the best decisions I ever made in my life is, not just as a competitive strongman, but just as a male embarking down this modern world, was to get on testosterone replacement therapy.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, total increase in energy night and day,
big time,
outlook on life, mood. It was one of the best decisions I ever made. But in the time, and when it's happening, I felt so embarrassed.
Yeah.
I felt so alone.
Yeah.
And just like I couldn't talk to anyone. I'm like, I've got lower test levels than a 60-year-old man. Like, what the hell's going on here? I can't. This is life sucks.
Yeah. No, you're right. Yeah, right. And I was the same way too. I mean, like I said, my situation was, I was in so much pain from my back that my cortisol levels were so high. And cortisol, being a catabolic hormone, it crushes anabolic hormones, melatonin, growth hormone, and testosterone. So my testosterone levels were like that of an 80-year-old. I was feeling like death. I was like, what is going on with me? I'm a 36-year-old guy, and I can't do anything. I mean, I'm like shrinking every day, looking in the mirror, I'm working out, feeling horrible. What's going on? Yeah, my testosterone levels were like a 189. And I share that with a lot of guys. A 189. I was like, I didn't even know how I was functioning really. And that's why it's like, but if you talk to, say, a 75-year-old guy and he has a 189 testosterone, he's going to be classified as normal, but he's going to feel like death. He's going to be very frustrated in many ways. So really that's kind of where it's at. So yeah, exactly like you. It's like, hey, once I got my testosterone optimized, once I started really learning about the endocrine system in ways I didn't learn in school, then that's when the magic started to happen. And I, walking the walk and giving personal testimonies, because I have nothing to hide, man. I'm very transparent with all of our guests that could visit me at my clinic. Because like I said, I want to make sure that, they truly have an understanding, like, hey, I understand what you're going through. I know about anxiety. I know about depression. I know about pain. I know about being embarrassed, not being able to feel like a man. I get that. And like I said, here's what I did. Here's my approach, and let's see if it's a good fit. 'Cause I want things to be a good fit for each individual, set us both up for success and not failure. But yeah, like I said, there's a lot of myths out there when it comes to testosterone. I think testosterone is the miracle hormone in so many different ways. And we could talk days about testosterone and all the benefits that come along with it, anywhere from, protecting your heart from heart complications to preventing and reversing osteoporosis in many ways, Parkinson's, dementia, Alzheimer's, all these things. Testosterone is involved in so many different things to help us not only prevent, but to strengthen these areas for our future, the longevity of our future. So, yeah, I'm a huge fan of testosterone, but done the right way.
Done the right way. And also keep in mind that it's just one hormone. You brought up your personal account of cortisol levels and testosterone levels too. Yeah. Like if we just acknowledge the testosterone levels, but not the cortisol levels,
right,
you're still going to have that buffer there.
Exactly. And that's why I don't treat numbers, because I can have somebody come in and say they're on TRT and their testosterone levels are an 800. Well, at 800, 900, they should be feeling pretty good. They shouldn't feel, like they want to go crawl in a corner and cry. But the question is, how is that 900 or even 1,000, 1,200? How are those numbers actually working in the cells? Because when we go get our blood drawn, we're getting blood evaluations. We're not, the evaluations that we're receiving in the lab doesn't tell us what percentage of that number is getting into our cells. And that's where the magic's made, when it actually enters our cells to do what it's supposed to do. So that's why I don't treat numbers, I treat people. Because a lot of times people are just classified as being normal. Oh, don't worry, you're within range. But if you don't feel like that, well, we got to 1, bump it up, or 2, make it work better. And that's where the customization and the approach comes in, because yeah, you're right. Testosterone is only one hormone. There's a lot of other hormones out there that they're all buddies. They're all friends. They all talk. And if there's miscommunication in there, we're going to feel it.
Yeah. And then that just throws off
everything.
The balance. And when we talk about athletes, when you don't have the balance, you don't have the performance. And when you don't have the performance, you don't have the happiness and the satisfaction.
Exactly.
But what aspect of their health do athletes tend to most overlook, whether it's falling along the lines of hormones or some other type of recovery management? What have you noticed in your time treating athletes that athletes tend to overlook?
Yeah, I think a couple things. One is sleep. Sleep is so important. I think people overlook sleep. They don't take sleep seriously enough. And if they're not able to achieve that deep sleep, they're thinking, oh, no big deal. I'll just get it later, or I don't have time to sleep. But sleep is actually, when we repair and recover. Sleep is the point when our hormones replenish, especially growth hormone. When we get into the delta 4 cycle of our sleep, that's when our pituitary gland releases growth hormone to our body. And growth hormone is kind of like the mother hen hormone. It's like the foundation of a lot of other hormones rely on to thrive, in our body. And so if we're not getting deep sleep, we're not producing high levels of growth hormone. And if we don't have high levels of growth hormone, we age quicker.
What does it take for the individual to get to this delta 4 level of sleep, this deep sleep level? How many hours does a person have to be sleeping?
Well, that's a good question. So it's the segments within our circadian rhythm that really matter. So really, if we want to get into deep cycle or the REM cycle, we want to at least try to hit about 90 minutes to 2 hours. That's going to be the magic number. But like a lot of times people get like maybe 15 minutes. 10 minutes. I've seen even a 2-minute one time, so I'm like, that's that your body, yeah, you're sleeping, but it's not the quantity of hours, it's the quality. I have a lot of people I ask, it's like, oh, hey, how many hours did you sleep at night? Just kind of get a general idea. Oh, I sleep 8 hours. Okay, great. Sounds great on paper. How do you feel in the morning when you get up? Oh, I feel like death. I can't get up out of bed. I don't want to get out of bed. I hit the snooze, snooze, snooze. So again, it's the depth, it's the quality of sleep versus the quantity of hours that we're laying in bed with our eyes closed. And I think that's one of the areas that really is overlooked. So like if we want to try to get about maybe 90 to 2 hours of deep sleep, that's when people usually feel pretty good. Now, achieving that is the question. How do we achieve that? Well, a lot of times we got to look at what's called the fight or flight mode. We have two different polar opposite systems in our body, in our central nervous system, called the parasympathetic and the sympathetic systems. And the sympathetic is the fight or flight mode. The parasympathetic is the rest and digest mode. So people are stressed out all the time, have high levels of cortisol, epinephrine, adrenaline pumping through their body. Why? For many different reasons in life. Then a lot of times we're going to be living in the fight or flight mode and sacrificing the rest and digest mode. So we have problems sleeping at night, and we have problems with bowel movements, or gastritis and bloating, things like that. Excuse me. And so if we're able to really look at those areas to help them kind of just calm down, put out the flames, meditate, relax, even take some days off training so your body can recover. Those are the things that we really focus on. So I think sleep, and then overtraining. I think overtraining is one of the main things that I see is like these athletes are pushing and pushing and pushing, and they hit that threshold. They're redlining, and then they keep on going. And I'm all about pushing yourself, and you need to be the next level athlete. But it kind of goes back to the analogy. If you're taking your car to the racetrack and then home, and we're making sure we're changing the tires, changing the fuel, spark plugs, things like that, you're going to burn out. And then once you burn out, then it could be a vicious cycle of frustration and anger because you're feeling lost in many ways.
On the subject of overtraining, from your perspective as someone who treats athletes, what are warning signs that athletes should be looking for as feedback from the data that they're getting from their own training to let them know, like, hey, I need to pump the brakes a little bit, I need to take another rest day? What should athletes be vigilant of?
I think one of the things that really look for is pain. I think pain, one of the things, when your tendons and your ligaments and your muscles are saying, hey, you know what, we can't, your times are going down, your lifts are going down, just the performance overall isn't what it was, say like 6 weeks ago. We got to take a look at that, because if we're just pushing and pushing and pushing, then injuries start to happen. And they're not all the time big injuries, like broken bone or ruptured tendon, but hey, my knee's just not feeling like it should and it hasn't gone away, or my back's really stiff right now, or man, this shoulder injury is just not healing the way I thought like it did before. And that's your body talking to you. So if we don't listen to our body, then we don't take care of it in the right way or look at other options to really, again, help optimize who we are, then injuries will set in, and then performance will be sacrificed in many ways. So I think when it comes to overtraining, I think everyone's different depending on what sport is, and it depends where you are, before the competition, 6 months to 3 months to 6 weeks to the week of, it's all different. But I think listening to your body is one of the main things that is very challenging for athletes. And even when I tell them, like, okay, well, I know you're not going to listen to me. So, and that's okay too. But it's kind of finding a good routine for them to participate in, that they feel comfortable and happy with, but also to help them perform at high levels week to week, because if they don't, then the goals and objectives won't be met. And that's what they come to me for a lot of times. Hey, how can I get to the next level, but also make sure that I'm able to prepare and train so I can perform well. And I think that's one of the things that I really see a lot in my clinic.
And now this next question kind of ties along the lines of how athletes, walk navigating daily life, enjoyment, but also performance. And there's 3 substances that come to mind that seem to have a little bit of a foggy area around them in terms of how they affect athletes. And I'll list them, and you can answer them however you want. The first one is caffeine. Yeah. How does caffeine tie into performance, and especially like what you're talking about, recovery? Right.
So I think caffeine can have many, many benefits. And when we talk about caffeine, a lot of times we're talking about coffee, right? So I'm actually writing, I actually dedicated a whole chapter of my book to coffee.
Nice.
So
I like that chapter.
Yeah. So it'll be a great chapter. But really, so think about coffee and think about caffeine is like a credit card. You use your credit card, you get what you want now, but you pay for it later. Okay. And I say that, loosely, because I believe caffeine can have a lot of benefits, especially for athletic performance. But if we overdo it, it can really affect our stem cells in our body. And there's certain stem cells, the tocotrienols, are the names of the stem cells that they could affect. And these stem cells actually have the ability to actually morph into and create any tissue in our body. So if we have like the wild card, the joker card that can do anything within your body to help with healing and repair, but overdosing on caffeine can really affect those stem cells, that's when we break down and that's when we age quicker. So I think caffeine is great. I like to try to keep it between, maybe 200 milligrams, 250 milligrams. I know it's probably really low dose for many athletes, and I get it.
You just have me feeling real self-conscious
I know. I saw
it.
But like I said, I think that at certain times, we've got to look at that because caffeine dramatically impacts the adrenal glands. And with the adrenal glands, again, the small triangular glands that sit on your kidneys, those are the stress fighters. When we're stressed, either mentally, physically, spiritually, intellectually, emotionally, psychologically, those go to work. And when we're overworking them, they will get fatigued. And if we have adrenal fatigue, it could lead to adrenal failure. And if we have adrenal failure, game over. That could really be hard to recover from. It could take years to recover from that. So that's why, having the balance, hey, I'm a fan of caffeine, I'm a fan of coffee, but the question is, what kind of coffee? Because if you look into coffee, not all coffee is created the same. Simply put, organic and non-organic, because coffee can be actually one of the most toxic products we put into our body. If you look at the coffee bean, say you get it from, wherever, and it's not organic, it could have up to 36 different pesticides and chemicals on each coffee bean. Wow. And so really we're just grinding that up, boiling it, and we could be making a toxic liquid that we're just slugging down, on a daily basis. And that's why a lot of these toxins are called endocrine disruptors, things that actually impact our endocrine system. So it's going to affect our hormones. So I think if we want to drink coffee, I say go for it, but try to get the cleanest, lightest roast possible, because all the oils and the antioxidants that do come along with coffee, we don't want to burn them out. Okay, so having that balance I think is very, very important. But like I said, I'm a fan of caffeine. I think it has a lot of benefits, as far as neurotransmitter functions and brain stimulation. I think it's great. But like with anything, if we overdo it, we could pay for it later.
I heard this fact at one point. Well, I say fact in quotes because it was cited as a fact. Okay. And you let me know if you think it's true or not. But that caffeine has a half-life in the body of 5 hours. Mm-hmm. So if I had a 300 milligram drink of caffeine, right, 5 hours later, I still have 150 milligrams of active caffeine in my body. Is that true?
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, it depends how you metabolize it too. I mean, a lot of times people have a genetic code or, somewhere in their DNA that they metabolize and process caffeine differently. That's why some people can't drink coffee at all because, if I have a little sip of coffee, I'm up all day, up all night, versus some people, hey, I could have a cup of coffee at night and go right to bed, So I think that plays a factor in it as well on how quickly you metabolize it, and also what you're doing after you drink coffee. That's one of the things too. If you're just kind of going to work, sitting at a desk versus, hey, I'm drinking coffee as part of my pre-workout, I'm going to go hit it hard, for a 10-mile run or, do, powerlifting like you do. So I think it is different, but yeah, it does burn out, is a half-life, but I think it is dependent on each individual and also their genetic coding on how they metabolize that caffeine.
Second substance, alcohol.
Yeah.
How does that work?
Alcohol. So alcohol, I mean, it could be, many things. A lot of times with alcohol, what I see the most when it comes to hormonal balance and performance is alcohol can raise an enzyme called aromatase. Now, this enzyme aromatase is actually involved quite a bit for the testosterone myth. So when people think of testosterone, a lot of them think about, it's going to cause cancer. Testosterone does not cause cancer. It's the aromatization, the conversion of testosterone into estrogen that causes the problems. And alcohol actually kicks that up. So I think that, moderation is not a bad thing, but if you're an overweight individual and you're trying to lose weight, or if you have low T and you're looking to bump it up, or if you're an individual who's onto your T and you're not really feeling it, you want it to work better, and alcohol is not really a staple every day, but a common, practice that you have in your life, it could be dramatically impacting your results that you want to see, because alcohol at higher levels cause a lot of inflammation. That inflammation causes cellular miscommunication. When the cells don't communicate, symptoms begin. And like I said, this aromatase enzyme is already in our body, but we're going to throw fuel on that fire when it comes to the estrogen-testosterone balance, something we don't want to do to high levels, because then that's when we have complications. And so I think alcohol, depending what alcohol, when you talk about beer to, Michelob to IPAs to tequila to rum, a lot of different things matter. But as a whole, alcohol could dramatically, kick up that aromatase enzyme.
Are there certain types of alcohol, even certain types of, I've heard certain types of beer, tend to have some positive factors or positive effects within the body.
Yeah, I think it's more of the the no thrills beer. It's the beer that it's the real lager beers. It's the IPAs. It's the more of the heavier beers that have like a lot more calories, because those liquid calories, boom, they're going right into your system. So I know a lot of guys that sometimes they drink before a competition, they have a couple beers at night before they go run, because what we're doing is the alcohol actually gets stored in our muscles, in our tissues, in our liver and everything. It actually can kick up our sugar level. And with these stores, sugar is an energy, so I'm a fan of sugar, but not too much sugar. We don't want an overabundance of it because, diabetes and things like that. But, for certain times in certain training, activities and events, it could be beneficial. Now, I'm not saying go out and get hammered, before a big event or anything, but yeah, I think if you're drinking those types of things. Now, I haven't heard that so much as far as like the liquors, but more so of the beers and the hops and the carbs and the sugars that come along with that. I have heard benefit for certain events. I've heard it more for like strength competitions like yourself. Sometimes I've heard it on people doing that like for cycling. I used to be a big time cyclist as well. People have done that as well. But that's pretty much what I've heard when it comes to that for athletic performance and the extent of how beer or alcohol can help.
I've known a couple of like the older generation strongman athletes. I've seen them before a contest where they'll stay up at night in the hotel lobbies, just like slanging down whiskey or whatever.
Yeah.
I think at that point it's just more for like pre-contest nerves or going through a ritual of some sort. But you hear the phrase empty calories, and I don't know if it's a myth or not, but I was under the assumption for at least a certain point of my athletic career that when you drink alcohol and when you, like, let's say I have a night of social, like going out to party or whatever.
Absolutely.
And then I go get Whataburger after, but I've got like all these drinks still in my system.
Right.
Does my body go through processing the drinks first prior to going through the whole food?
Yeah.
And if so, then what happens to the whole food? Is it automatically stored as fat? Is it automatically excreted as waste? What goes through the body? What are the processes at that point?
That's a great question. It kind of comes down to, like you said, everybody's kind of different. But as a general answer, your body will process the alcohol a lot quicker, but it'll also store it a lot quicker as well. Because it is already in an absorbable, metabolized state. It's in a liquid state, and that's why it's different than, hey, if you eat a donut versus you drink a Coke. Both are going to be, spike your glucose. Both are, can really elevate your insulin and things like that, but at different speeds, because the bread will take a while to metabolize in your gut versus the instantaneous sugar liquid. So same thing with alcohol. And then if you go like eat some pizza or a burger after whatever, then yeah, there will be different speeds, and like the alcohol will store in your tissues, in your muscles, in your liver a lot sooner. And so the alcohol and the food that you eat after, it'll be slowed. That's why some of the people say, "Oh man, I have a rock in my gut," or I was like, "Man, last night it really got me." It's not necessarily from the alcohol per se, unless you have a lot of alcohol, but mostly it's the snacks and the food you eat after, because that alcohol can dramatically impact your hydrochloric acid. The acid that we need in our stomach to actually break down the food. So if our hydrochloric acid, our HCl, is impacted to a certain degree, we'll still digest, but not as efficiently as we would if we didn't have that level in our system. So that's kind of the balance. Kind of like the same thing can happen actually if you drink a lot of liquids with your meal. You can get a lot of indigestion from that as well, and constipation, because the water is actually kind of drowning and suppressing the good acid we need to break down our food. So it kind of goes hand in hand. But I think that I guess to answer your question, the alcohol will get processed quicker. The speed as which the food will be digested after the alcohol, I think it's going to be dependent on each person, but it could be stuck there for a while, especially if the hydrochloric acid is affected.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Now the third substance,
Sure.
especially in terms of athletic performance, cannabis.
Cannabis,
especially in this modern day and age, where all the states are starting to get on the fence about legalizing it too. How does that affect athletic performance? How does the athlete walk the line if they are an user of cannabis?
Yeah, I think like I said, it kind of comes down to the individual. But as far as like cannabis and THC and CBD, those types of things, I think it can have a lot of benefits in many ways for the individual, especially when it comes to anxiety, stress, nerves, recovery, and things like that. Like I encourage the guests and my athletes I see is like, hey, if you're stressed out, you can't sleep at night, don't go get. I'm not gonna give you any pain pills, to try to cover up the symptoms. I really want to try to use something that's natural to help kind of just calm the neurotransmitters, calm your adrenal glands, help you go from the fight or flight mode into the rest and digest mode, the sympathetic and parasympathetic system. So I think there's a lot of benefit to that. Now, as far as performance-wise, I'm just going to be honest with you, I don't know about anything about performance-wise, but as far as recovery and to help with mental clarity and focus and sleep and relaxation and even healing. CBD is very, very healing in many ways as well. So I think there is a lot of benefit for it as far as the recovery phase and the preparation. As far as using it for performance, I really haven't gone off in that direction, so I wouldn't be able to speak intelligently about that area. But as far as the others, then I have seen, I've done it myself. I've done it myself to help recover from my pain and everything, so I can be active in some way. And I know a lot of athletes do it as well. So
it is still a relatively new frontier, but
it is.
In all the science that has come out in the time, where talks about it being legalized, across the states, there are a lot of benefits, and it does seem to be a super plant in a lot of ways.
Absolutely.
And are there any negatives that you've learned about from it that athletes need to be very wary of?
Yeah, we do. So two things that come to my mind is one is oxygen to the brain, because THC, and not so much CBD, but THC, if we're kind of going that realm, it could actually impede the oxygen concentration in our brain, which could affect performance and just hypoxia and things like that. But also THC can dramatically decrease testosterone as well. So we do need to be careful with that as well. So that's why, again, having that balance, between the two is very, very important. And if we're finding ourselves needing, cannabis or CBD, THC or whatever on a more frequent level and routine than we did, say, in the beginning, we got to stop and ask ourselves a question: why? What am I missing? What system in my body is being stressed or maybe not being tended to the way it should, because it's causing me more stress, it's causing me more anxiety, it's causing my problems with headaches, it's causing me sleeping at night. So I think if we get to the point that we use it every once in a while to help kind of relax the system, great, go for it, not a problem. But if we're starting to use it more on an everyday or frequency, throughout the week, and it's I want to kind of pump the brakes, saying, okay, whoa, what's going on? Kind of reevaluate and figure out, is there other things I can do? Because it does have, an impact on performance and oxygenation within our tissues as well. So I don't want to, help someone sleep and recover and be able to focus and meditate on the event, but also sacrifice their physical performance as well. So again, got to have that balance.
Stress seems to be a big player in performance in general. And there can be a significant amount of weight to just mitigating and keeping control of stress. But at a certain point, like you said, if you're using so much, at what point do you be take a step back and okay, why am I using this so much?
Exactly.
What factors are contributing to my stress that I can kind of take a step back and try to fix one by one. But those are three things that came into mind. And the realm surrounding them and the way that they affect athletic performance still seems to be, even in 2022, still seems to be a little bit foggy.
Yeah. There's a lot more research coming out. And I think, like I said, it's more and more benefits, even not only for athletic performance, but for just anxiety and depression and even cancers and things like that. There's things, these things are natural and they heal in many ways. It just comes back to a few things, how to use them, working with a professional, and the quality of products that we have as well, because you can go around the corner and see CBD stores and buy this and that, but where are they coming from, how are they grown, and how are they processed, and things like that is also something we got to be, not just jump at everything that's presented to us, but really do our homework and research about what am I putting into my body, because especially as an athlete, what you put in is what you're going to get out. And so we want to make sure that we're not throwing toxins in our body, just like the coffee,
Yeah. So, and I mean, when I went down the whole figuring out my testosterone levels were low back in 2012, 2011, whenever it was, I did learn that in this day and age, in modern industrial food production, whatever it is, there's so many factors that we have working against us. You hear terms like phytoestrogens. You talk about the toxins in coffee, or the toxins in coffee. With all these things working against us, it's how do we get factors to work for us?
That if I had that answer, a clear-cut answer to that question, my man,
there is no clear-cut answer. I threw it at you and I knew there wasn't.
I'd be in a yacht somewhere. No, Yeah, I'll be right here in McAllen. No, so really, that's great. You're right. You're right. Everything that we eat, everything that we drink, everything that we breathe, we step outside, we're being hit with so many different toxins and environmental exposures and endocrine disruptors and xenoestrogens and things like that. I mean, our lotion, our shampoo, the clothes, the shirts that we're wearing right now.
Deodorant too is another one.
Yeah, these things are just what's called off-gassing. These things that are off-gassing, we're breathing in. We're touching, we're putting on our body, we're sleeping on. I mean, have you ever thought about, what kind of couch we're sitting on? Have we thought about what our blankets made out of or what our pillowcase is made of? You're smashing your face for, 6, 7, 8, 9 hours at night, just breathing in the fabric off gas from our pillowcase. What's it made out of? Where's it come from? Those are things that can really dramatically impact, our sleep quality, headaches, our hormones. I mean, that's just our pillowcase. So, let alone the type of foods we're eating. So you're right. There's a lot of different things that really impact our cells. Why? How are they doing that? They cause inflammation, and inflammation is the root cause for so many things in our society.
And going into exploring the things like pillowcases or like the gases outside,
right,
it can be scary. And there's a certain point where it's like you start worrying about so much of it, it can be overbearing. But that just gives more affirmation to the notion that you got to take charge of as many different facets and layers to one's health as possible. And that's where functional medicine, that systematic approach comes into play.
Yeah, and I agree. It's like no one's perfect. No one will ever be perfect. It's not going to be a perfect world out there. We all know that. So we just try to do our best. And I think that, to really just live the life, the way we want to live and to the fullest, we can't, have that fear all the time. There's going to be things out there. Yes. Are we going to get sick? Yes. But let's take charge of our health and to have that strength to, fight back when we get into, the external impacts of our world. I want to make sure that we have the internal response is strong so we can fight back when we get hit with certain things. And I think doing that, in my opinion, it is going to be through, nutrition and exercise and meditation and sleep and these types of things, not necessarily just getting pills from the pharmacy all the time. And I think that's the approach that we have. And what I finally feel like I'm able to practice medicine the way I believe, the way I live, and the way I think that people want for majority of the time. And a lot of times people think they're receiving that type of therapy and that treatment with the pills. But when I explain to them, what's really going on, they're like, oh, I never thought of it like that. You're right. So what do I do now? Let's talk. So, and it's a journey. I said it's a relationship. It's a journey. It's me being your coach to help you along that path to get you to that destination.
Talking about the destinations.
Yes.
I've got a big destination coming up.
You got something coming up, don't you?
World's Strongest Man 2022.
Exactly.
I sought you out to help me get ready for my first World's Strongest Man back in 2020. And I've given you some pretty unique challenges along the way.
Yeah, we had some good conversations, that's for sure.
It's been eventful. Yep. What has it been like working with and preparing a World's Strongest Man athlete?
Well, first of all, it's been a pleasure. I mean, you've been the support that that you've given us as an organization as well, is we really appreciate that.
It goes both ways, because the support that you've given me, has propelled me to the biggest stage in the world. It's
a pleasure, man. I mean, this is what I have a passion to do, but I think it's been challenging, but in a good way, in a great way, I should say, because some of the things in the process and protocols that, we're talking about to really help you not only optimize, but to prevent side effects and things happening in the future. It's an art. Medicine is an art. And I think that's where, the customization and the ideas and the imagination come in, and where the science comes in too, because there's a lot behind each routine that you participate in and at what time. We talk about titration up. I'm going to increase this, take away this, decrease this. It goes a lot goes into it. But I think that, working with you has been a lot of fun, man. And I'm just super excited to see how you're going to crush it. I mean, you're going to crush it. And I think that, if we can even keep on learning, because even in 2020, 2021, and here we are today, how much have you learned along that journey that I was able to learn from you to help us work together as a team to get you here?
You remember back in 2020, this was within a month of World's Strongest Man. And 2020 World's Strongest Man, I was an alternate. It was always like, am I going to get the shot to go or not? Keeping that level of readiness. But I think of a month out from World's Strongest Man, I say we because we're a team at this point.
Yeah, for sure.
We were hit with a curveball. I suffered some very severe what I thought was gastrointestinal distress at the time.
Right.
And there was a good 2-week period where we were trying to figure out what the hell was going on with my abdomen, my digestive system. I mean, and this was that systematic approach that I love that I originally sought you out for. It's like we take this dissective, look at things like what are we experiencing? What could be the root causes? I just remember I had pulled a personal record on raw deadlifts. At the time, it was 910 pounds.
Jeez. Yeah.
But immediately after that deadlift was the pain and the discomfort coming from the abdomen.
Right.
And, we're going, I originally thought it was food poisoning.
we were throwing all ideas.
I was getting colon cleansings. Yeah. I mean, but at this time, I also had I developed such a deep understanding of the balance of the digestive system. And you touched on it now, when we were talking about, the alcohol and the way it's processed, the hydrochloric acid balance within the gut. There is a balance. There is. Like you were saying, if you drink too much with meals, that can throw things off. And, I was learning all these things of how it could be something wrong with my stomach. Right. When it was, it was something wrong with my stomach, but not. You remember what it was?
Yeah, I think it's more about a hiatal hernia situation, and that's very painful. I think it was, and the reason why it was so painful because it wasn't a gradual thing; it was an instantaneous thing. It was like a boop, like a bubble that kind of popped up on the top of your abdomen. Those aren't comfortable.
I explain it to people, and it's so from the deadlift. This was around the time where the sponsor I was working with at the time, Cerberus, had just come out with a soft belt. And I had seen athletes before putting on the soft neoprene belt first and then putting on a hard leather belt on top of that. Okay. I had never done it, but I had just got this new belt and I wanted to try it. Right. And I pulled a new personal record, 910-pound deadlift. Right. But there was so much intra-abdominal pressure from those two belts that I literally sent a part of my stomach on the wrong side of the diaphragm with the lungs. You did.
And one part of our routine too was to really, increase the caloric intake as well, to help in with the ghrelin that we were stimulating to help put on that mass and that strength. So I mean that could add it to it too. So it was just just two just two worlds colliding, and boom, it got you on that deadlift. But yeah, I mean, look at you now. You overcame it.
Look at me now. I mean, and we took all that data and we found a strategy and we employed the strategy and I was ready to go. Yeah. And I gave it my all in 2020.
You did.
And, there were other curveballs I faced along the way, but that was a very unique one where it definitely helped to have someone so modern and systematic in my corner to try to figure this thing out.
Yeah. And when we talk about the gut, I mean, like the gut is, one of the foundational systems. Everything's connected to the gut. Our gut, hair, skin, mood, memory, hormones. I mean, sleep, everything's connected to the gut. And even our immune system. If we're getting sick all the time, we got to look at our gut because 70% of our immune system is actually in our gut. That microbiome, the good bacteria and things like that. I mean, it all works like an ecosystem. And if we take out or suppress, say, bacteria through taking an over amount of antibiotics, we take that part of the ecosystem away, you're going to have problems. Things aren't going to function the way they should. So again, it's a balance. It's an art. It's one of those things that, again, we got to customize everything. The hiatal hernia, a lot of people have it, but we need to customize it for you. Why? Because of you and what you're looking to do. And we were hustling, weren't we?
We're talking about it was still dealing with it, the final phase of it within 2 weeks of leaving to Florida for World's Strongest Man in 2020. It was a nail biter for sure. Thinking back, yourself, have there been other unique challenges regarding caring for me and prepping me for these high-level strength endeavors?
I think we talked about a little bit about your elbow. One time we talked about your knee, and making sure that, first of all, we're having a great conversation. I think a lot of times, the relationship between, the practitioner and his patient, it needs to be based on conversation and understanding. And so really, one of the things that we really relied on and we participated in was peptide therapy. Peptide therapy is an amazing therapy that, that a lot of people can benefit from.
A lot of people don't know about it. Right. And we'll touch on some more questions and answers from fans that I got. Sure. But one of the big ones was, what is peptide therapy?
Sure. Yeah, great question.
It's one of your specialties. So tell the listeners.
I love peptide therapy. I think that when we talk about anti-aging and regenerative medicine, we're going to be moving more and more towards peptides. And a lot of times people think and know about peptides, collagen peptides. And it's a peptide. It is. I'm not denying that. But it's a completely different peptide than the peptides I'm talking about. So what peptides are is they're small strains of amino acids that stimulate the body to perform a natural function. And so what does that mean? So these amino acids that are already in our body, we have a peptide, 7,000 different peptides already working magic within our cells, but now we have the opportunity to participate in exogenous peptide therapy to optimize certain peptides to achieve a certain goal. So whether it's like, hey, I want to sleep better at night, I want to lose weight, I want to build muscle, I want to recover from my injury, we can participate in different peptides that are created and designed to perform that function. And so that's why peptides are so amazing. I mean, I help people anywhere from the spectrum as far as athletic performance to sleep to libido to erectile dysfunction to autoimmune diseases, rheumatoid arthritis, Hashimoto's, psoriasis, to help with their skin texture, to help regrow their hair. A lot of different things we can do with peptides. Why? Because all we're doing is taking a natural component what's already in you, optimizing it to achieve a certain goal. And like I said, I'm about to get double certified in peptide therapy here.
Double certified.
Yeah.
Look at you,
I'm going
master.
Yeah. There's new stuff coming out. So I'm heading off to Miami in August to train with my team. And it's one of the things that I loved bringing back here to the Valley because people dabble in peptides, here and there, but what we're able to do is just take things to the next level to make sure that we're looking at all areas of the individual and help achieve what's called cellular efficiency. And once we do that, oh man, game on.
So these are amino acids that are already present in the body.
Yes.
One of the most common misconceptions I hear when I'm talking to my athletes, whether it's talking to them about your clinic or the service you offer, just peptides in general, is they automatically ask me, oh, peptides, so those are like steroids, right? And it couldn't be further from the truth.
No, they're not. They're completely different. So like I said, they help optimize our cells and what they help us achieve something. Well, I guess it depends what peptide we're talking about, but most peptides, they help us achieve something called autophagy. Now, autophagy is a word we use in medicine that pretty much describes cell cleaning. When the cells are, again, happy and healthy, we are happy and healthy. But when our cells are struggling, we struggle as well. So these peptides, no, they don't. They're not steroids at all. They help optimize you as an individual in a bioidentical, natural way. And that's where we're healing the body. Because like I said, these peptides are already in us. But as we age, as we experience different things in life, say injuries or accidents or, whatever, peptides go down. And as they go down, we have symptoms. So peptides and hormones, I mean, they're like best friends. They work together. I mean, we talk about, optimizing testosterone and optimizing growth hormone, things like that. We can do that through peptide therapy as well. And so that's where the game changer is at, because when we're able to participate in peptide therapy, we get all the benefits, but we don't get side effects because the peptides go to work and they have the intelligence on their own to know how to function within your body because they're already there. They're just joining the party of other peptides already in your system. And that's where the magic's made, because we're able to optimize who each individual is, but to do so in a very controlled, structured, methodical way that your body recognizes and responds very well to.
I've used peptides with you since I started, whether different types here and there, but one peptide that played a monumental role in my performance last year, especially dealing with knee injuries that plagued me throughout the majority of last year, was BPC.
Yeah.
Body protective compound, something that is already within our body.
Yep.
But when we started supplementing that, it was a night and day difference between the rate of prior to taking BPC to the rate after in terms of how my body was recovering, being able to notice the progress from how I was able to use my knees from week to week.
Absolutely.
Is that as far as peptides go, is that one of the more common ones that you see yourself treating guests with? Or
Absolutely. Yeah. Not only for athletes, but also people who are really experiencing issues with their gut, because that peptide, actually the BPC 157, actually comes from the amino acids in our stomach. That's how they create it. And so, but it has so many different benefits and uses to it, not only from helping bones heal, tendons, ligaments, muscles, but also brain health. There's a new research coming out that helps with, cognitive clarity and sharpness for Alzheimer's and dementia and Parkinson's and things like that. Now, has it been, clearly defined and finalized yet? No, but this is the exciting thing about peptides, because these things we're learning about these things. And BPC 157, CJC 1295 plus ipamorelin, tesamorelin, MOTS-C, all these different things that we can participate in to help with the cell, because peptides, it's all about cell health, and if we're able to optimize the mitochondria, the energy factory within our cells, game on. And that's what we're able to do, and it's a lot of fun doing it. So
soon to be double certified in peptides. I remember you at one point, you might still be now, one of the very few peptide specialists here in the state. Is that still the case?
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of people are catching on to peptides a little bit more, which is great, because I think it's a huge service we can do for so many people. But yeah, I consult people all over the country with peptides, because they're searching for them. Peptides are tough. It's confusing to a lot of people. You're talking about a lot of pathology within the cells. And so really understanding how each peptide works and why and how to dose it the correct way, it's a specialty. It's an art. And so, I just had the opportunity to work with some of the best clinicians around the world when it comes to peptide therapy. They've trained me. That kind of took me under their wing in many areas. And so what I learned, I use, and we've had great success in helping people really get their life back in many ways.
What was it that originally, like for peptides with you, was like, hey, this is a new forefront or a new frontier. Like, I need to, let me delve down this path a little bit.
Right. Great question. So actually it was in 2019 when I re-ruptured my back, when I was actually, having my wife push me around in a wheelchair, or, I'm on crutches or a cane, I was like, I got to do something. I was doing all I could to prevent another surgery, which thank God I did. No surgery, a second one. So, I was kind of just diving into this, more into the regenerative medicine. And I kept on, just seeing things pop up, peptide, this, peptide, for helping heal the cells. Like, what's that? What is this? And so, I've heard about it before, but I really didn't understand, the depths of what they really do or what they were. And so, then I started, just kind of researching, and I was actually emailing people, through social media, because the peptide specialists, they're out there. I was like, how can I learn more? What can I do? And it was really cool because they took me under the wing and suggested books. They suggested literature. I joined, kind of like a mastermind group as well to really just kind of, that's who I'm going to be visiting in Miami, to really kind of work on this cutting edge science that really is really groundbreaking and really changing people's lives in a really positive way. And so that's it. Kind of took off from there, and it was like, what? I'm all in. Not only personally from what my experience was with peptides, but I was like, man, people gotta hear about this, because I just thinking about so many of the guests that I see that could really benefit from it, and they have, which is really cool.
Slightly off topic, here, but it's something that I've wanted to do with my podcast, just because I love space. I'm a big nerd, and I've got a microphone and I've got a voice, and I feel like a lot of this this current generation needs to talk about space a little bit more. It kind of has taken the back burner. So I at least wanted to use a small section of my podcast to space out. So we're going to space out for a second.
Sure, let's do it.
I asked this question at 2020 World's Strongest Man to several of the athletes over a dinner table one time.
Okay.
I asked them, if you had the opportunity to go to space and to use your talents and your profession to work in the name of science, would you?
Yeah, I would.
Would you find any difficulty in leaving your family here on Earth to either go up to low Earth orbit or wherever it took you to space?
Oh, you mean actually going
to space.
You mean getting sent off on a rocket and going to
outer space? Going to work to work in the name of science in space.
Oh, my goodness.
What if you were invited to research peptides and their effect on astronauts in the space station?
Wow, the new peptides on Mars, huh?
Or just a hypothetical situation.
How long would I have to be there?
Let's say it takes months. Let's say if it was in Mars, we're talking about the scope of a year.
Okay.
Scope
of a year.
To get there, research, come back.
Oh, boy. Yeah, I probably would do it. Yeah,
probably would
opportunity, man.
It's one of those things where it's like the work moves the bar of human civilization forward.
Yeah, I would do it.
When I asked the athletes there at World's Strongest Man, I didn't get a single yes.
Oh, really?
For me, it's a no-brainer. I would do it too. I mean, but of course, you're talking to a space nerd.
Yeah.
But it's like there are a lot of comforts here that we. There's no gravity. There's no air. I mean, it's a hard. You're constantly encapsulated, but
yeah. I think that's it's for me, and what I've experienced growing up. Coming from small town USA, and there in Washington, and it's working with my, how do I say this? Active service, right? I always believed in service, and that's the way I practice medicine. I believe medicine should be an active service, and so if I have an opportunity to really impact millions of people by research, and they chose me to do it, I would have to. If I didn't do that, I think that I would. I don't have any regrets in my life, but I would consider that a prior regret. If they guarantee me I get to come home to my little boy and wife.
Of course. Of course.
So hypothetically, and so I would definitely do it, because I think like I said, that's why I do what I do now. Going to these conferences, really investing my money, to learn more in certification programs, and to masterminds, and to seek out where the best clinicians are so I can learn from them. If I want to be the best, I have to surround myself with those who have gone before me who are considered the best. And it costs. It costs to do that, to be amongst the presence of these clinicians who are really just world renowned. But guess what? I get to bring that knowledge back here and really do some cool stuff with people.
I had a feeling you were going to answer yes to that question, but that's also why you're here on this podcast. The whole point of this podcast, Titan Talk, is to talk to people I deem as titans, people who are using their power to leave the world in a better place than when they entered it.
Yeah.
And you undeniably are someone that's doing that. A lot of the forces that drive you in doing what you do seem to fall right along the path of leaving a profound effect on as many people as possible.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's why I had to move from Washington State. I mean, I love my home. I love Washington State. I mean,
from the mountains down to the Rio Grande Valley.
Exactly. So where I grew up, it was actually called Yakima Valley, so valley to valley. But I had no idea what I was getting into, man. I remember I was driving my car down, just through all the states and down to Texas, and I was like, oh man, I need some gas. I was like, I see a Stripes. Gosh, what's a Stripes? I don't even know if they have gas. so it was just one of those things that was kind of just a world shocker for me. But I needed to do that because I needed to grow. And it's like, I think the fear of the unknown, we can take that in two different ways, as an opportunity or as a way that can really just crush us and hold us back. And I always look for opportunities to be the best I can be, because I know the better I can be, the best version of myself, I can give that to others. And that's what I feel a big part of my life is all about.
Absolutely. And the last little thing touching on the whole space out section is, we live in the Rio Grande Valley. The next steps for humankind to find their way to Mars are literally happening in our backyard.
Yeah, it's right down. It's about an hour away.
Starbase is in Brownsville at Boca Chica Beach.
Yeah.
You're a father. You have a 6-year-old boy. Have you taken your boy out to Starbase?
I haven't. I need to do that.
We took Xiomara, our daughter, out to Starbase.
Really? How was it?
Oh man,
it's awesome.
No pictures do justice to how big those rockets are.
Jeez.
And we were there on a very choice weekend to where we actually saw Starship stacked on top of the super heavy booster on the launch pad.
Wow.
And it is just such a massive rocket. I cannot wait to see, feel, and hear that thing take off. I'm going to take my daughter out there when it happens.
It's coming fast too.
They're just waiting for FAA clearance and environmental clearance.
Yep.
But
I actually see a lot of people at my clinic who actually are working at SpaceX.
Really? That's one of the cool things about this is it's created so much jobs, so many jobs, and such an economic boom there in Brownsville that it's like, a lot of the negatives we hear tend to fall along the lines of the environmental impact of launching a rocket. If it explodes in the atmosphere, how's it going to affect the wetlands, or whatever. But I feel like that's such a small and easily overlooked thing in terms of the greater good, especially when you're creating so many jobs. When we were out there, the base is huge. The factory is huge. I mean, there's on-site housing for all the employees. I mean, it's a massive place.
Yeah.
But I highly recommend taking your boy out there whenever you have time. It is really cool. And I could stay out there all day and just geek out there. They have a lot of the old rockets just stacked up there.
Oh, really?
In what they call the rocket garden. You can walk right up to them.
Oh, right on.
It's super cool.
Oh, that's cool. I got to check it out.
And one of the things that I wanted to do with this podcast, especially bringing on the man that I entrust with the health facet of my career, is getting some questions.
Sure,
some Q&A from the fans. I put out a little post on Instagram to see if any of my followers would chime in to see what they wanted to ask you, and I did. Sure. I was able to get a few questions.
Okay, right on.
This is from Stump Strong on Instagram. What is your best advice for how to optimize your recovery?
Recovery. Yeah, I think hydration, proper hydration is going to be one of the main things. And a lot of times there's a misconception when it comes to hydration is that the more water we drink, the more hydrated we are. And it's really not, that's not true at all. You can drink 100 ounces of water a day and still be dehydrated. So I think it's the minerals within the water, excuse me, that actually achieve hydration. So, when you talk about the periodic table, and the 78 trace minerals that actually are composed within our blood plasma, we need to have those replenished within our system, or else our cells will be sacrificed, excuse me, and our blood will be sacrificed, and our tissues and our muscles. So I think proper hydration is essential for recovery. And I think as a whole, as a society, especially in the U.S., especially down here, it's hot down here, right? Dehydration is something that's rampant in the cause for so many different health complications that I see, anywhere from fatigue to muscle soreness to headaches to dizziness to pulled muscles and things like that. The body's dry. So I think that's going to be, just speaking just generally, I think proper hydration. And with water, we don't want to drink, dirty water either. We don't want to drink toxic water, heavy metal laden water as well. So what we want to do is for water, it's a process. We want to clean the water, through reverse osmosis and just get it purified. But when it's purified, it's actually classified as dead water because water is supposed to have energy. Water is supposed to have voltage. If we don't have voltage within that water, then we're not going to get voltage within our cells. And so infusing that water with the proper minerals is going to be a game changer. And one of the easiest ways to do that is just put fruit in our water, lemons, strawberries, cucumbers, things like that. The minerals from these products in the water actually help us achieve a higher level of hydration, which is absolutely amazing.
Would you say that the body craving to have like that lemon wedge in water is kind of like a feedback mechanism for the body telling you like, hey, we want these minerals. We're deficient in some of these minerals?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Your body talks to us.
What tends to be the most overlooked minerals?
Magnesium.
I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah, magnesium as a whole.
Maybe it's because we've been working together for so long, but I knew magnesium tends to be one of the most overlooked minerals. What exact effects does magnesium have on the athlete?
Right. Magnesium is a smooth muscle relaxant. So really what it does, it helps relax the body, relax the muscles, but it also is one of the key elements to help with hormonal balance as well. So magnesium has a dramatic impact on our brain, a dramatic impact on our intestines, because our intestines are smooth muscles. So if we're, for example, if we're constipated and we're not using the restroom as we should, well, that constipation is going to create stress. Stress produces cortisol. Cortisol being a catabolic hormone. Catabolic hormones will dramatically impact the anabolic hormones. And so then now you have lower levels of growth hormone. You have lower levels of melatonin. You have lower levels of testosterone. And we all know what those elements can do for us as far as, balance and regeneration as athletes. So, magnesium kind of helps just get things going. It helps us with deeper sleep at night. It helps with pain and cramping, and it helps with true hydration in our body as well. So I think if I was to pick one, it would be magnesium, because a lot of times people think that, oh, I'm sure I have enough magnesium. I take a supplement or I eat, my greens or whatever. But the question is, how is that magnesium actually working in your body? And a lot of times, not only does it come with lab results, it comes with how you're actually feeling. And so, I think if I was to pick one, it would be magnesium.
You carry a lot of choice supplements at your clinic, and some that are highly bioavailable and ready to be absorbed by the cells of the body.
Yes.
But for people who don't have access to your clinic, who might be listening from a different state or different part of the country, there are different types of magnesiums when you go to the grocery store to select supplements. You got magnesium chelate, you got magnesium carbonate.
Yeah,
what
a lot of
what should the individual be looking for when they're trying to find that choice type of magnesium?
Right. If I'm just speaking generally, what I said, the smooth muscle relaxing, I would say glycinate.
Glycinate.
Yeah, glycinate is usually a big one between, everyone's different, of course, but I would start with 400 milligrams at night before bed, and then kind of titrate up, because like I said, being a smooth muscle relaxant, it could relax the bowels, and I don't want to have loose bowels or anything like that. So I would say start with 400 milligrams and kind of titrate up, increase up 600, then 800. And sometimes guys take 1200, milligrams of magnesium, especially during heavy training, if you're sweating a lot. Magnesium is also amazing for blood pressure. I'm able to get so many guys and girls off their blood pressure medication by just optimizing their magnesium. It's crazy.
It's a super mineral, huh?
It is. It really is. It's across the country, across the U.S., it's actually one of the most deficient minerals we have in the United States.
Well, ever since we started working together, it has been a staple.
Yeah.
And something I always make sure I have on my supplement shelf.
Yep. It's very important, man.
It's a big one for recovery.
Exactly.
This is a fun question from one of my training partners out in Brownsville.
Okay.
What do you put on your burrito from Chipotle, from Matt the Barbarian?
From Matt the Barbarian? Oh, Matt, what do I put? I put it all, man. I put
it all. Do you do double meat?
I do. I haven't done double meat. I should probably do that. But I put all three salsas and everything. Nice. I put everything. I put the whole thing. So actually, no, I have done that. I've done a chicken steak.
Look at you.
Yeah.
Man.
I was trying to be a strongman, but I was just one meal, and that's.
Do you ever do the double tortilla?
I haven't done double tortilla.
I do the double tortilla because I found out they don't charge extra for it.
Oh, really?
And it's a way that for a heavyweight strongman, it's
calories,
like
man.
those extra carbs.
Yeah.
If they're free, give me an, and it holds the burrito together.
There you go. Yeah, because if it rips, it's like, okay, what am I doing? I might just got a bowl. So.
Now, am I right when I say that the most treacherous task that someone can embark on, or one of the most treacherous, is that last 2 inches of the burrito?
Oh yeah, man.
The one that there's no graceful way to eat it.
I know, but it tastes so good though, because all the juices and the sauces all kind of accumulate at the end. You're like, oh, this is awesome. Kind of like the ice
sour cream and the salsas all coming together.
Everything. It's like, gosh, I got to finish this. So.
Damn it, Matt getting us hungry.
Yeah, man.
Okay, this is from Gabby Dixon.
Okay.
She's a pro strongwoman from the Pacific Northwest.
All right, cool.
Where home is for you.
Yeah.
I believe she lives in Oregon.
Oregon, okay, cool.
And I had to wonder that question before. I need to get that right. But she was down in Beerstone. She's actually one of the athletes who won her pro card at Beerstone.
Far out. Okay, congratulations. Awesome.
So she asked, how do you help women recomp compared to men? Specifically athletes.
Mm-hmm. So really for girls, when we're talking about hormonal balance and everything, girls have more hormones than guys. So girls are more difficult in that way at times, but also it's a greater opportunity for them to get a better response. Because guys, usually we talk about testosterone and estrogen balance and some growth hormone as well. But for girls, we have testosterone, estrogen, progesterone, all these different other things that we got to balance. So we really, the approach we take is to listen to each person's story, especially with female athletes, because a lot of times they're putting their body under a lot of stress. And when that happens, it gets them into fight or flight mode, elevated levels of cortisol, kind of like, I remember in high school, a lot of the cross-country runners, females, they would have irregular menstrual cycles, or they wouldn't have their period at all during season, because they're putting their body under so much stress that your mind tells your ovaries, hey, you know what? Now's not a good time to get pregnant. That's what it's saying. So it starts shutting down different systems. So it depends where she's at in training. It depends, what she's experiencing. But I would look at all those things and making sure that the testosterone, progesterone, estrogen, but also especially the thyroid for girls especially, is optimal. And how we achieve that, again, is different for each person. But I would look at those, because if she's going to a clinician or someone that is kind of just ordering labs and kind of skimming the top, not really getting the depth that she needs, then a lot of times she's going to be told that things are okay, they're within range, they're normal, but she might have significant room for improvement that they will never discover because they're not testing for it. But even if they did test for it, they may not know what to do with it, So that's where I would start. But a lot of times it is somewhat on the same approach, same lines, but a more in-depth look, because females have a lot more to work with, and they change more often, throughout the month. So we got to take those into consideration. And what I do for my female athletes is like, hey, when's your next comp? Okay, it's I don't know, May 16th. Okay, when's your last menstrual cycle? Okay, it's right here. When's a week before your menstrual cycle? Okay, there. And then depending on where they're at in the journey and their cycles, whether they're regular, irregular, heavy, what they experience, we got to customize a routine along that, because I can't have them feeling super uncomfortable during their event without taking the proper approach and protocols before. So that's usually what we do.
It's tough to navigate that.
It is, man.
It really is, especially when you have so many hormones working together.
Yeah.
But so it seems like the first step is always to have, of course, knowledgeable hands to view it, but to get that full hormone panel and look at all the different values.
Yeah, and really having the individual know how they feel at what point in time in the month. Because if they're like, oh, I never thought of that, or never, just really be ultra focused of, okay, hey, my cycle is every 28 days. Okay, great. How do I feel during my cycle? How long before my cycle? What do I feel when my cycle ends? Okay, what do I feel like 7 days, 10 days, 14 days before my cycle? Because we could be talking about an estrogen dominant situation. But not only that, what's your training approach and routine during that time? Because that's going to impact your hormones as well. And then it's in depth, it's a little complex at times, but that's why taking time with each individual is so important, because if we don't, then we're missing the whole
You got to have that conversation. One of my favorite things about my visits with you when I go see you at the clinic is we spend that first however many minutes of the visit just talking and revisiting everything that's happened from the last visit to this point.
You have to, man. The journey changes. Have to. Mm-hmm.
So the last question I want to take is from one of my athletes that I work in my online coaching program. His name's Tim Cox. Okay. He asks, "What are your thoughts on hyaluronic acid benefits and negatives?"
Oh, I love hyaluronic acid. I think that hyaluronic acid can really, depending on how you're taking it, right? But if we're talking about, you can even ingest it, you can inject it as well. I think it has a lot of benefits, but we want to make sure on a couple of things that we know, the cleanliness of it, where you're getting it from, but also the dosing on how and why we're using it. I think I'm not really sure what he's referring to as far as like routes or what he wants to use it for.
Well, let's in my context, when I think of hyaluronic acid, I think of joint support.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's how I feel at first glance affects my performance. So along those lines.
Okay. Yeah. I think it has a lot of benefits. It's like very hydrating, especially if we have, I tweaked my meniscus or I twisted my ankle or, things like that. I think that, of course, everyone's different. How you metabolize it in your gut, if you're ingesting it and things like that is one approach. But I've done many peptide injections with hyaluronic acid, and the results have been pretty impressive. So I think there is benefit. Just listen to your body, because sometimes people can feel a little more, GI upset and uncomfortable. So, try before you pry. Like I used to say, as a firefighter, you got to try it before you bust that door open, because you don't know what's behind it. And train like you fight like you train. So anything that people are thinking about, I should try this or I try that, I would say try it at least a month to 6 weeks before a competition, at least a few times, because the worst thing is having my athletes come in saying, I did this, I did that right for my competition or my run or whatever, and I felt horrible. I had headaches, dizziness, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea or whatever. I'm like, oh man, You got.
I know everyone's different and everyone has their unique case, but someone listening to this specific section, they hear hyaluronic acid and they're like, oh, maybe I should go start taking that. What is the demographic of people who should go explore the possible benefits to hyaluronic acid?
I think if you have a stubborn injury, if your injury, if your joints, if your neck, if your back, if your knees is like, man, I just can't, I'm taking all the supplements. I'm taking magnesium. I'm drinking clean water that's mineralized. I'm taking my glucosamine and chondroitin and things like that. It's like, man, just nothing working. What's going on? I think give it a shot. Give it a shot. You won't know till you try. And so, but again, I'm always on the approach to start low and go slow. And don't do too many things at one time, because it's hard when people come into me and say, oh yeah, I started 6-7 supplements at one time, and I feel okay. I don't know which one it is, or I feel horrible. I don't know which one it is. Like, okay, man, we got to start all over again now. So I'd say if they want to take that approach, to start low and go slow, but also to really have them look into BBC 157, because a lot of times the hyaluronic acid will help hydrate, but it won't necessarily heal, in the way they are expecting or maybe they need. So I think there could be it could be a multi-dimensional therapy.
That could be a symbiosis. You
absolutely.
Could have a very well hydrated environment for the peptide to help thrive the recovery process.
Absolutely, you got to hit from multiple different angles, especially if the individual continues to train while they're injured. Because they have no choice.
Because we love to do that.
yeah, especially during
can't stay away.
Yeah, well, I mean, especially before in competition. I know the Boston Marathon was last weekend, and I had a lot of athletes. My Boston runners were coming in, and they're like, "Hey, I have A, B, and C. What can I do? Competitions in 4 days." Like, all right, well, let's get to it. And so I think it's gonna be customized, depending where you are in the journey. But I think it could be a very beneficial thing. Just make sure you get a quality product. You start low and go slow, and listen to how you feel.
Great advice for Tim.
Yep.
This last question is not from a fan.
Sure.
Well, it's from possibly one of your biggest fans, me.
Oh, okay, cool.
Something that we've talked about it before, but something that I constantly, I don't know if struggle is the right word, but something I'm constantly challenged with, especially now as a father.
Right.
For you, as a father, a husband, a medical professional, and a business owner, what tips do you have for finding balance in one's life when you have so many different forces pulling your attention and focus? How do you keep those scales balanced and keep that level of clarity with your life?
All right, that's a great question. I think when it comes down for me is I always remember my why. Why I'm doing something, and I think that's a very important part of everyone's journey. If we're going to embark on something and start something, it's going to be tough. It's going to be difficult. We're going to have obstacles, and I think that as working in medicine, I have obstacles every day. As a businessman like yourself, hey. You have obstacles, right? So I think that, if we remember why we're doing something and we're working hard to build our own dream that will benefit others, especially our family, then I don't mind sacrificing time in certain ways because I know it's for the greater good. But at the same time, the balance, because we only have 24 hours a day, right? No matter who you are, we have 24 hours. It's how we use those 24 hours. So for me, it's one of those late nights and early mornings at times. I got to, study in the morning, get prepared, do my workouts in the morning when my little boy is sleeping, staying late at night when he's in bed, that I got to study, work my Lions Lead program and things like that. So I think that is challenging at times because time is time. But if we remember our why and why we're doing something in the first place, it'll be more enjoyable. We'll have more enthusiasm and more energy while we're doing it because we're not serving ourselves, we're serving those that we love. And I think that if we keep that as first and foremost, then whatever direction we go is going to be very fruitful in many ways. And of course, I have a great support system. My wife supports me in 100% of everything I do. I think she helps me build my dreams and I help her build her dreams. And I think it is, there's a lot of synergy when it comes to that. So I think who you surround yourself with also has a great impact on the dedication, the focus, the determination that we have in life. But I think what it comes down to, if I also put it simply, just remembering that why you're doing something and have that be your rock, your fuel to keep on going even when times get tough.
That's stuff I'm going to take to heart, man.
Yeah.
You're not the first influential figure I've had in my life that tells me not to forget the whys. That's it's very easy to do at times to forget the whys when you get so caught up in all the things that add up to seem like that insurmountable mountain. But I've learned through a lot of my pursuits that a mountain is not insurmountable. It's just a collection of steps.
Yeah.
Taking those steps one after another,
one at a time. And I say, when I'm not able to spend time with my a little boy as much as I want, or, go out to dinner with my wife, or just have that quality time, just relaxing on the couch. Like, we can't do that. We got things we got to do. You got homework, whatever. But also, I think whenever, no matter how busy we are, we always have that, those few minutes just to say, when I say my little boy, Max, like, hey, bud, I love you, man. I'm very proud of you today. And we say it so much to him that he sometimes says to us, hey, Dad, I'm proud of you. So, hey, Dad, I love you too. And so awesome. In those moments, it's like, so again, it kind of comes down to like, the quantity of time matters. I'm not saying that at all, but it's the quality of time as well. It's the impact of that time that really can change lives, especially those who you care about and who you work with on a daily basis. And I think if we're able to do that and really share with what we have, it's not how much we know, it's what we know and what we do with what we know in many ways. And if we're able to celebrate that and really share that with people and serve people in the way we feel that we're called to do, just like you starting this podcast, man, those are game changers. And that's where the magic's made in so many people's lives. I mean, you're reaching people right now that you have no idea. You may never even meet, but you're impacting in ways that you'll never know. And I think that is where the mission comes into play and what makes life super, super fun. So
that profound aspect of this is exactly why I started the podcast.
Yeah.
Getting to connect with people and have that experience, one's own experience, transcend to a positive experience with someone else. I mean, that's that kind of we're wrapping up here, and that ties me into one of these last questions I have for you.
Sure.
In your unique path, what are your ultimate goals? And what is the lasting mark that you want to leave on this planet?
That's a great question. I think the one of the lasting, everlasting goals that I have is just really to reach as many people as I can to get this message out. I think people are hungry for this type of message. They're hungry for this type of medicine, but they don't even know it exists. There's so many people out there that I talk about, functional medicine or natural medicine or holistic medicine, however you want to define it. You're like, what's that? What do you do? And they think it's like kind of the hocus pocus, the herbs, the tinctures, the essential oils.
I picture the long-haired hippie burning incense.
The vapors and, kumbaya and expanding the mind like you see on TV. It's not that at all. So I think that's going to be one of the main things, getting this message out. It's almost like a medical revolution in many ways. And I think if I could do that, then that would be like, all right, I've done my best. And I think that, like I said, especially in the RGV, I want to give people that sense of hope. A lot of times people who visit me, they're told, nope, there's nothing you could do for you. So I want to turn that nope into hope.
Turn that nope into hope.
And that's what I
have a bumper sticker on your
there you go. There you go. And so that's what I want to try to do, because I think, especially in our community, the message that their people are getting is like, sorry, there's nothing we can do for you. This is just the way things are going to be. And that is not true. I can boldly say that's a lie. And I think, but not a knock on the clinicians. It's just that's the way the system's set up many times. So if I can get the message out and say, hey, you know what? There are other options out there. Maybe it's not an option for you, and that's cool. The type of medicine I practice maybe isn't for everybody, but at least it's an option. If your journey changes and you're like, you know what, finally, I gotta make some real change in my life. I gotta really take charge of my health and get better. And I want to get rid of these 13 pills that I take every day. Well, let's begin the journey. It can happen.
As people embark on that next step in their journey, when they want to take that positive step forward and getting rid of the pills and finding that light at the end of the tunnel.
Sure.
What parting thoughts do you have for listeners out there that might be ready to take that next step?
Yeah, I say you won't know till you try. I mean, really, if you really are to the point in your life where it's like, hey, I'm terrified that if I don't make some changes in my life, I will develop a chronic disease, or my chronic disease will continue to get worse, and it will impact my quality of life, but also may shorten my life. If you're even thinking that a little bit, just give us a call. I mean, it costs nothing to talk with me and my team just to see if it's a good match. We can answer some of your questions. If it's not a good match, that's okay too. We'll give you some advice on direction and where to go. But I think that, really just take the time to reflect within yourself, your journey. What do you want? How can you become the best version of yourself? What goals, what dreams do you have? Because using your imagination and coming up and dreaming of your dreams, but also making them come true, man, that's what makes life exciting. And if you don't have dreams, if you don't have imaginations, I think life can get super boring. And that's when people just survive and they don't thrive. We're meant to thrive. We're meant for a purpose. And I think that health in many ways has a dramatic impact on helping us get there, wherever there is at. I don't know where there is at. Everyone's there is different. But I think that if we feel good, we have the enthusiasm, the energy, the strength, the energy to dream big, then we will have the opportunity to get there and have a lot of fun doing it. So I think that's going to be the message I have for everybody.
You said 5 words that kind of hung in the air like a bell that I'm going to remember that I might make it the title of this podcast episode.
Yeah, there you go.
But we are meant to thrive.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is such a powerful statement. And I feel like those words drive a lot of what you do and what you offer to people, and that positive light at the end of the tunnel for whatever hardships they're going through with their own personal health or whatever.
Yeah, because we're all on a journey, man. We're all on a journey. I mean, myself included, I'm no better than anybody out there. You know, it's just that I just been, had the opportunity to learn a few things. I'll never know it all, but it's like, hey, what I know, I'm willing to share.
But these bodies are incredible machines.
They are, and we'll never know it all with them. It's how we're designed. So,
but they are meant to thrive.
They are meant to thrive. So don't settle for anything less.
Steve, where can people find you? You have your clinic in McAllen.
Yeah. So Restore Wellness RGV, right there off McCall. My number is 956-683-6797. And also, social media. We're Restore Wellness on Facebook and Instagram. Also, my personal pages on Facebook and Instagram. And I'll
put the links to those in the captions.
Okay, right on.
You also are partnered up with a clinic in San Antonio.
Yeah, Groove Wellness. Yeah, Groove. Got to get your groove back. It's in San Antonio. It just opened a couple months ago. And with Groove, what we're focusing on is energy optimization. So we focus on hormone optimization and peptide therapy. And Groove has been absolutely amazing. Like I said, we're serving the San Antonio area, and the response has been very, very positive. And we're just getting started. But yeah, it's called Groove Wellness, GROOV. And again, we focus on energy optimization through hormone optimization and peptide therapy.
And Lions Lead. When can our listeners be looking forward to that program?
Yeah, we are launching it on May 16th.
May 16th.
And I'm going to a big convention in Dallas called Tax Growth Con. And, where a lot of entrepreneurs are going to be going there to like-minded individuals to really help, develop that financial freedom, which is really cool. And I was invited by my friend, David Bettis, which he's, from San Benito, super, super cool guy. And he invited me to speak on health, because like I said, health is the greatest wealth. And if we're looking for financial freedom, we got to do it feeling good, and so I'll be speaking there, and that's when I'm going to launch my program, Lions Lead. But if people have questions about it now and want to know what it entails and what it offers, and it is, again, an all-inclusive package that's going to be just turnkey, set and go, and let's dive in together as a team, because I will be your coach. They can message us, DM us, or even call Restore Wellness, and they can answer questions for you there as well.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Steve, thank you so much for being here.
Dude, it was a pleasure, man.
We almost did 2 hours. I could talk to you all day.
Oh my gosh.
An hour 45 is what that soundboard's telling me right now.
Flew by.
It flew by. Good conversations always.
We'll do it again.
Yeah, we definitely will. Steve, thanks for being here again.
My man.
It was an absolute no-brainer to have you on here. And
yes.
I really look forward to the next time.
Thank you for the opportunity, man.
I know we've got a lot of work ahead of us between now and World's Strongest Man, and you've got everything that you're focusing on too. And it's the road ahead is bright, my friend.
Let's get it done together.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Titan Talk, a podcast brought to you by myself, Gabe. I've had Steve Martinez here with me today on this episode, and he is a Titan leaving his mark on the world here, and it was an honor to have him. This podcast will be brought to you on a weekly basis. This will be episode 4, and I look forward to all the episodes yet to come. Steve, thanks again for being here.
My pleasure, my man. Let's do this.
This is Gabe Pena, signing out.